Welcome you all in this video. Namaskar. My name is Ritu Panda. Just have a look. So, you have seen the slide. Now, we are going to discuss the difficult words from lesson 11, planning and organizing. These are the difficult words which we are going to discuss now. These difficult words are from this lesson. So, they are little difficult from the point of view from the children. So, I will show them one by one and explain their meanings also, so that you can connect with the meaning and understand the concept. So, the first word is managerial. So, this is the spelling. What does it mean? This is the sign. For example, I am a person and someone senior to me orders for some work and I have to supervise some work. So, I am managing all that work, that is managerial. Now, the next word is pervasive. So, let us understand this word. For example, I am just learning riding some two-wheeler and I have applied for the license. So, all the people who are driving vehicles, they should have this license. So, let us have a look at the new words. So, you have seen these three words. Now, I will be explaining them one by one. The first word is intellectual. What does it mean? A person who is intelligent and he knows the skill, can do the work in a better way, that person is known as intellectual. The second word is futuristic. What does it mean? For example, we imagine about the future, it will happen or something prediction we do. So, that is known as futuristic. The third word is uncertainty. This is the spelling. Now, what does it mean? For example, there are people and we observe people, they are good or bad, right or wrong, we are not sure about. So, we are not aware about what is the outcome. So, that is known as uncertainty. Now, let us have a look at these words. So, now you have seen these words. These are the three words. I will be explaining them one by one. The first word is alternatives. This is the spelling. What does it mean? For example, there are various ways of doing something. We can do one work in different ways. For example, if in one way we get a failure, then there are other ways, other methods, that is known as alternative. The second word is communication. This is the sign spelling. This is what we do every day, communicate with people in a meeting. With every other person we do conversation, that is known as communication. The third word is dynamic. Dynamic, what does it mean? For example, we get different procedures every time we do something, then we find it little difficult or we change the method. So, this is known as dynamic. Now, let us have a look at these new words. So, now we will understand these words. These are the three words which we just showed you. The first word is authority. What does it mean? For example, power, we give power to someone, let us say a senior person or a senior officer, he has some power, so we call that authority. The second word is administration. This is the finger spelling of this word. What does it mean? There are different people, and like we are in NIOS or any government office, there are different kinds of work. So, there is department, we call that administration. Third word is optimum. What do you mean by this? For example, if we are doing any work and we have to complete that work in a particular time, in a time frame, and we have to do our best also. So, we should not just waste time, we should save time and do our best. So, that is known as optimum. Now, let us have a look at this slide. So, you just saw this planning and organizing. This is the chapter name which we are going to discuss. Now, we will discuss in detail about this planning. There are some features which are important, we should know, and after this we will discuss about its various features. Now, first we are going to discuss and understand about the features of planning. So, you just saw this slide. Planning is like this. Now, we will understand it in a better way. For example, I am a person and I am working and doing something, how I am doing and who I am, what I am doing and when I have to complete this work. So many questions we have when we get answers of these work. So, all this comes in planning, and further we can see more slides to understand this. Like you just saw this, the planning. Now, let us understand it in detail. What do we do while we do some planning? So, it has various features in it. Let us understand them one by one. Like when we do planning, there are various steps involved. Any person who is doing planning, he has to sometime obey the seniors and do all the managerial work, all the planning work, and the main aim is to get the work done. So, if we say about objectives or the aims of planning, so there are various levels. The main objective is to achieve the work. Various duties are given and just to achieve our goal, our objective. So, for that we do planning. Any person who is managing, who is doing planning work is given some work and delegate some work to the other people, to the people who are working together, so that all work done in time and the work is not lost. It is done in a perfect way, because working together and working in a good way is our responsibility. We ourselves have to manage and do planning so that we can complete our work. It is not that just do it in any way and give that to work. No, we should plan further and continue do that, so that we can achieve our goal and be responsible for this. Next, if we explain it, we can consider it in another way. For example, a person who is planning and intellectually thinking about more senior or more good goals, the person is really trying and doing best to get good results. It is the responsibility of the person to think about the future, to be futuristic and to take good decisions. So, these are the important features. Planning is futuristic, we can say. For future, we need to plan today. So, the outcome we will get, that will be in future. Next important feature is, when we do planning, we give work to other people and we have to help others and get work done. So, we have to take some decisions also, we have to think in a analytical way. It is also the responsibility of the planner who is doing planning to decide and make decisions. Next, you can see in the slide. Now, you have seen this slide, we are going to understand this now. This is a little different, which we understood earlier. These are all the importance of plannings. So, we need to understand it in a different way, because these are also important. The first point which we saw is, we have a aim or objective. Just for example, a person riding on a road, is the person riding zigzag position or zigzag way? For example, a train, just let us say example of train, is that moving in a zigzag direction? No, that is not moving in a zigzag direction, it is moving straight to the objective, straight to the destination where it is going. So, in a similar way, we have to achieve our goal in a proper method, proper planned direction. So, that is important, the direction, the provisions, the planning, it gives us direction. The second most important feature of planning is, it reduces the risk of uncertainty. What is going to happen next? What is going to happen the coming time? So, if we plan ahead, beforehand if we plan, then it helps us to save our risk, it makes us secure. So, it is better and it is important to plan beforehand, so that we can reduce the risk of uncertainty. That is important. The third important feature is, it facilitates the decision making, like the earlier point we discussed, that was decision about the uncertainty, it saves our risk of uncertainty. So, it is linked to this. If we are planning ahead beforehand, then it facilitates us in decision making. So, it is the responsibility of the planner who is doing planning to consider all these points. Now, the fourth point is, for example, if we are planning waste, the spelling idea is of waste. If we are planning and it is of no use, then what is the use of planning? So, we should think and we should make our planning in a proper way, so that it standardize our work to save the waste items or waste time, or to save our fine or risk, anything which is related to this. So, the planning should be in such a way that it should be standard and it should be in a controlled way. The next important point is, the people who are working and doing together, they are using their ideas and trying to improve the work. Just for example, if someone is making jug or anything like fan, if a person is making a small fan, a big fan, or a different kind of fan. So, there are different kinds of innovations or new ideas they make, and they make designed fans or designed articles. So, these are also the features important, which are very important in planning. For example, if we are not able to just invent or do some innovation, then like if a child is just doing anything and playing on the floor, just untidying the clothes, and then how will anybody will control the child. So, it is really important to control all these points. Now, let us have a look at this slide.
नमस्कार। जैसा कि आप सब जानते हैं कि कोरोना वैश्विक महामारी से जंग अभी है जारी, तो जब तक दवाई नहीं तब तक ढलाई नहीं। सरकार द्वारा जारी आदेशों का पालन करना जिम्मेदारी है हमारी। मास्क लगाकर निकलें घर से बाहर, 2 गज दूरी बनाकर करें नमस्कार, हाथों को धोएं दिन में बार बार, तभी सुरक्षित रहेगा कोरोना से देश और समाज। शिक्षा का जिम्मा NIOS का काम, घर से शिक्षार्थियों के लिए शिक्षा हुई अब आसान।
जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने,
जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने, हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने, हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने। जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने।
धन साधन समय की सीमा से विद्यालय जो मुक्त हो, धन साधन समय की सीमा से विद्यालय जो मुक्त हो।
कभी पढ़े हम कहीं पढ़े, वे विषय की लोच से युक्त हो,
कभी पढ़े हम कहीं पढ़े, वे विषय की लोच से युक्त हो।
मित्रों हम उठे और जागे,
मंजिल आने की ध्वनि सुने, हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने।
जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने।
राष्ट्रीय मुक्त विद्यालय का है द्वार खुला सबकी खातिर। शिक्षा परीक्षा का अवसर एक बार ही क्यों मिलता फिर
शिक्षा और परीक्षा का अवसर एक बार ही क्यों मिलता फिर दुनिया में इसके केंद्र बात।
कोई मन चाहा केंद्र चुने, हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने। कोई मन चाहा केंद्र चुने,
So, like you can see on the slide, the slide you saw that we are going to discuss is limitations of planning. It has few features. Now, they are all connected, interconnected. So, after understanding these points, you will get a better understanding of the concept. So, planning, as we are discussing, it has so many challenges. Whenever we do planning, we face different kind of challenges. For any work we are doing, there are different types of challenge, take it education or medication, anything, every work has different kinds of challenges. So, let us say an example. The first example, the limitations which we are going to discuss is, there are various ways if anyone is doing a work and in a standard own way, the other person who interrupts or who just intervene in between. So, a person who is leading the project or leading the work, and due to some intervention of the other person, the person may get confusion. So, this is a limitation. Now, another point which we can understand through it is planning may not work in a dynamic environment. If there are different kinds of work going on continuously, simultaneously, then there are different methods, different procedures involved. They sometimes gives stress or it is a new challenge in the work method. So, when we have to interlink our work with various departments, then it is a kind of challenge. The third point which we can understand is, if there are new different innovations or different ideas, but we have planned already, we have planned some planning. So, where should we put this new idea? That is a limitation. Where should we put this to have a good result? So, that is why planning is important, but it is a kind of limitation. So, it is a challenge. The fourth important limitation is, suppose we are doing some planning and it is not easy, it is really expensive work. So, it needs a lot of money. We have a one single mistake, then who will be responsible for that mistake? So, we should take care of all the new things or all the processes which are going on to save the money, so that we can save the loss. The fifth point is, which is the limitation of planning, like it is a long, it takes time, it is a time consuming process. There are different kinds of planning, like you must have seen in a government, it is really not easy. When you apply for anything, then you have to go to the other person table, then some senior person's table. So, it is really a time consuming work, not to me, to the other department, then to the other department. It comes to various departments when you have to follow a proper channel. So, it is a time consuming process, it is not a short time or a shortcut method. So, planning requires proper timing and proper management. The next, sixth limitation which we can understand through this slide is, that is, for example, when you apply for some work and you say you are following some features and you have all the processes going on in a right manner, then you have all the papers, all the documents ready, or any work you consider, then to get success or to get failure, it is not sure what will be the outcome. So, it is really not easy or not predict, it is not easy to predict what will be the outcome of this planning. So, you can say the planning does not guarantee success. So, now let us have a look at the new slide. Now, like you have seen this slide, this is about planning processes. What does it mean, planning processes? Processes of planning? Let me explain you. For example, a baby is born, or a cat, or anything. There are different steps of growth. Do we just get old in just a small time? No, there are some steps involved, there is a process involved. So, let us understand it is in a point wise. Like first is we set objectives. So, it is a process. When we do any work, we just set our goals, like this is our final goal, which we are going to achieve, which we have planned. Then the second process is, the second step of the process is like any work we do, just take any work, not any single work which I can say, you just take like a sales example of sale. We collect money and we do sales. No, it is not only we collect money, we do sales also, it is all interconnected. So, we all have rules in business, company, we do sales, then we buy things, then we do sales, we get profit in 4 or 5 or 6, in just any way we get things, then we do sales, we sell them, and when we sell them, then we get money. Through that money we get some savings, some amount is our profit and some is our expenditure. So, this way we do all our work. The next step, this next process of planning is identifying the alternative methods. Just by doing one method, one procedure is not good. So, we should think of other methods. Now, let us understand the further processes. Like earlier slide, you have seen the 3 steps. Now, further we will explain this processes of planning. The processes are followed in a sequence, just not in a random way. So, we should follow, every planning has a different steps sequence that is followed in a sequence, in a order wise. So, after those 3, now the fourth one is, it is evaluating alternatives. Just we do checking or we find one way and do that, no, it is not like that. We must find the different ways of doing things, and then after completing that, or just after analyzing all the various methods, all the alternative methods, then we should follow the next one. That is about selection from the alternatives. Like in the earlier step, we analyzed different alternatives, we found their goods and bad. Then after that, we need to select which alternative is good for our work. For any work, any kind of work, we have to select the best alternative which is good for us. The next point is, like the earlier points, earlier steps we discussed, this is also connected with that. After doing the selection from alternatives, the next step is implementation. When we are working, we are just not working, and in case we get failed, then we will go to the other method and we will move towards that method only. Just take an example, if there is any seed and we have put that in the ground just to take a form of the plant, and we watered it plant, then we just wait for 1 day, 2 day, and then we move on to the other seed and just wait for the plant to grow and get fruits and vegetables. So, we follow that plant. So, in a similar way, any company or any work we do, it should follow a proper sequence. So, now let us have a look at this slide. Like you have seen this slide, in this we discussed about the types of plans. There are different types of plans. Now, we will understand them one by one. Like earlier we talked about the objective, setting goals, and accordingly we do our planning in any work. When we go to airport or do education, any work we do, we have to make decision, we have to plan. Any of your work has some procedures, some rules, some steps which we follow. If you are not following any steps, then I do not think that the work will get success. So, there are different rules, different structures that needs to be followed for any work. The next feature, the next type of plan is, like if any company I have and I am doing some work, there are different kinds of work in different kinds of company, and there is a competition among all them. Cooking or TV shows, there are different shows and different kinds of rewards are given to motivate people. There are different competition, like there is Miss Universe or Miss World competition of young and senior people. So, similar way there are competition and different strategies are made, just not to mock other or just not to degrade the other person, but to improve ourselves. The competition is there. The fourth is, for example, any program, like we earlier we discussed about few steps which we are following. So, similar way we put them in order and we are following those steps. We know, we are aware about these steps. Just have a look at the example. For example, I am wearing something and I have to wear something. So, it should be in a sequence, in a proper way, it should be matching and it should fit on the person. For example, if you are taking dupatta or any cloth you are wearing for any program, you just organize things and put them in order and try to make it perfect. So, the procedure, there is a word called procedure, it should be in a format. Next is rule. Like we discussed the earlier points, the objective, policy, strategy, procedure. Now, we are going to talk about rules. These rules are like you have seen different rules, different places. Just take an example of gold. Women wear gold jewelry, or clothes are also nowadays of gold color. So, like at aeroplane, there is a rule that they have to wear a proper uniform, and it's their rule. They have to present, they have to represent in a certain way, and they have to follow their rules. At the railway station also, it's similar. At all railway station, the food counter and the billing, the person who is serving food to the customers, to the passengers, they all have to follow the time rules, the time of departure, time of incoming. So, there is rule of everything. Just for example, in a government law, government court, or you say that in the law office, there are rules. If we break the rule, that means we are breaking the law. So, rules are important and we should follow them at different places according to the need. The next is methods. what do you understand by method? For example, like we are at NIOS, this is an NIOS video program, and we applied in a senior secondary class in 12th, and we applied in a 12th class. So, it is not that we can study 10th and study 10th books, no. There is a proper procedure which if we are applying in 12th class, there is some special procedure. We have to apply subjects, we have to choose our subjects, data entry operation or computer subject. What are the subjects provided in 12th class? Only from those we can choose electricity. There are vocational courses also, we cannot do vocational courses in academic. So, there are different streams, different selections, like in vocational there is different rules, and in academic there is a different rules. So, we have to follow the rules, the methods according to the stream. Just like we explained our earlier examples. The next is budget, that is also important in planning. For any work we do, there is a proper budget required. For any expenditure we need money, we have to buy food, we have to pay money for electricity, we have to pay for different works, there is expenditure, and the budget is allocated for a particular work. Like for any company there are different expenditure. For any program or any recording or anything if we need to buy, we need money for that. Like in this studio we are doing recording, there are so many resources which are required, and that requires money. We need to spend money to get those resources. So, that is called budget. Any work we do, then we need to just plan our budget for all the expenditure we are doing. So, we call that word as budget. Like we are called for recording or any work, then we give lectures or we represent something. Anything we do that needs a budget, proper budget. For any marriage purpose, reception, we do proper planning. Then there are different programs, like in a party there is some celebration going on. For any kind of work, for so many years, if we are celebrating 10 years celebration or 10th anniversary, for just imagine any work, we have lots of work around us, so that requires budget. Now, let us understand through this slide. Like which we saw in our slide. The first we discussed about the planning. Now, the second step is, that is the organizing. That is also the important function of any management. When we do any planning or any management work, we organize things. So, that can be understood in this way. Like you just saw in the slide, any organizing work, there are different like people involved, and like which you saw in the picture, there is a boy sitting and doing some work and he is planning to do something. So, everything is organized there, which you saw in the picture. He has a calendar and he has put some dates. So, like in a marriage function, every person is focusing on his or her work. In other work also, person when concentrating on his or her work at different places. So, different kinds of organizations are at different places. So, that is when person has to focus on his or her own work, there are many work going on simultaneously at different places. So, that is why, like if I get any medal, or when we focus on something, then we achieve our goal also. Now, let us have a look at this image.
नमस्कार। जैसा कि आप सब जानते हैं कि कोरोना वैश्विक महामारी से जंग अभी है जारी, तो जब तक दवाई नहीं तब तक ढलाई नहीं। सरकार द्वारा जारी आदेशों का पालन करना जिम्मेदारी है हमारी। मास्क लगाकर निकलें घर से बाहर, 2 गज दूरी बनाकर करें नमस्कार, हाथों को धोएं दिन में बार बार, तभी सुरक्षित रहेगा कोरोना से देश और समाज। शिक्षा का जिम्मा NIOS का काम, घर से शिक्षार्थियों के लिए शिक्षा हुई अब आसान।
जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने,
जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने, हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने, हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने। जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने।
धन साधन समय की सीमा से विद्यालय जो मुक्त हो, धन साधन समय की सीमा से विद्यालय जो मुक्त हो।
कभी पढ़े हम कहीं पढ़े, वे विषय की लोच से युक्त हो,
कभी पढ़े हम कहीं पढ़े, वे विषय की लोच से युक्त हो।
मित्रों हम पढ़े और जागे,
मंजिल आने की ध्वनि सुने, हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने।
जीवन ये प्रकाशित करने, राहों को आलोकित करने।
राष्ट्रीय मुक्त विद्यालय का है द्वार खुला सबकी खातिर। शिक्षा परीक्षा का अवसर एक बार ही क्यों मिलता फिर।
शिक्षा परीक्षा का अवसर एक बार ही क्यों मिलता फिर। दुनिया में इसके केंद्र बहुत,
कोई मन चाहा केंद्र चुने, हम अपना दीपक स्वयं बने, हम अपना रास्ता स्वयं चुने। कोई मन
Like you just saw in the slide, that is about importance of organizing. There are some features. Now we will understand all those points. So the first point says about the division of work. Different work we do, and there are some work which are easy. If we do not delegate the work, then doing work all together, it's really difficult. So we should share our work and divide our work. The second point says the clarity in reporting relationships. For example, if there is a boss and there are subordinates, then everyone has some report which needs to be given to the senior. The third point which says if we are utilizing our resources in an optimum way, so it should not go waste. We should use them in a proper manner so that we can save our time and our resources without wasting them. It saves our time also. The fourth point which says is about growth. There are different growths at different levels, like earlier if we miss, then the next step can be growth. So it should move on, continue. The next point which says about better administration. We should go better and move towards betterment. If we are not planned or we are not organized, then it should not move in a positive way. So that is better for us to move towards betterment. We should organize beforehand and do proper planning. The next point is like there are new innovations going on everywhere. So that is a better way that we can say a greater creativity. Now let's have a look at this slide. Like you just saw in the slide, you saw in the picture, there are different processes involved in organizing. So we will discuss them one by one. These are all the parts of planning process, which is our chapter's name. That is organizing processes. The chapter's name is Planning and Organizing, and we are discussing now the organizing processes. Let's now understand different levels. For example, identification of activities. What are the activities which needs to be done, which needs to be followed for the work? The second point can be there are small things, a small grouping of activities that needs to be there. So that can make our work simultaneously moving towards the next step. Next step is giving responsibilities to the other, and they can do our work and get it complete. So that is known as assigning of responsibilities. The next fourth step is giving powers to them, which you can say granting authority. If a person is giving work, and he should be given some power also to do some work, to get some resources, or to inform to the right person. So authority is given with the work. The next is we discussed all these steps one by one. Then the next is we have to give report to the other senior person. Whatever work we are doing, we have to report to our senior so that they get well informed. Now we can see the next slide. Only 3 minutes. Like you saw in this slide, organizing structure. Now we will explain this. This is the functional structure. The picture you just saw, it has CEO on the top, then it has 3 pillars or 3 columns. This is about the functional structure. For example, I am the boss and I have given some work to the subordinate, and that person has to get things, and the other person has to do some sales, and the other person has to do some services or any work which is given to them. They have to focus on their work and they have to get it done. So, all these 3 pillars, they give report to the CEO, to the senior person. So, the second slide you can see. This is about the slide which you just saw. This is about some more structures involved in this. It has more bifurcations involved in this. This is about the divisional structure. The work is further divided into some more further down the line processes. Like in this, there is one senior person, there is bifurcation in 3 columns, and then further that has bifurcation down the line. Like in earlier example, we explained about the getting things, then sales, then division of work. In a similar way, we do division product like other product, and then some other different product. The 3 divisions which we saw in the image, then they also further inform to their senior person. Then the more divisions down the line you have, the more information you have to give to your senior, and those seniors will give information to their upper senior department. Now, you can see in the picture. Now, this picture is about the types of communication. There are 2 main ways of communication. The first one is formal types of communication, which you can say as a professional way, and the other way is informal, which is not very professional. Like normally we communicate and we do informal communication in different places. The formal communication, like we see in our offices, and informal communication is also at different places. Now, you can see further this picture. This picture you just saw, this is about delegation. Like if there is some senior person, he is doing some work and he is really he has really lots of pressure of work, and you can say he has responsibilities, and some power or authority is also given to that person. So he has to get things, then do the necessary arrangement for the things, and also report from the juniors, or he also need answers from the juniors. Now further you can see this image. Now this image is about the delegation of authority. It has all the important points which we are going to now understand. Like there are different work given to different people for effective management and to get our things done. Also the development of employees, this is important. The work is delegated, then it also motivates the employees, people who are working with us. It facilitates the growth and the coordination is better. Now this picture which you just saw, this is about the decentralization, like America or different countries of the world, you can imagine. And I am the one who is I can't go to every country myself alone. So we allot people there, or we get people work there as a supervisor, and then we work in a network. Now let's have a look at these questions. So this is a question. Now I have explained the lesson and difficult words, lessons. Now you are aware about the planning and organizing. So it's better to have a look at these questions. The question number 1. The question 1 is done. Now this is question number 2. What do you mean by organizing? You have to describe it. Now see the question number 3. This is question number 3. You have to explain the limitations, the challenges of planning.
नमस्कार। जैसा कि आप सब जानते हैं कि कोरोना वैश्विक महामारी से जंग अभी है जारी, तो जब तक दवाई नहीं तब तक